I know, Athena. It's cold, Mama. We're gonna get the power back on soon. Georgia Power got us fucked up right now. Not you still got cat food on your chin. What's up, little greedy? Hey. Y'all, I'm struggling today. Today has been a day, but somebody got to make the content. So, a little life update. I don't know if you guys saw on the community post or the reels that I posted about USPS, FedEx, and what's the other one? I'm buffering. I can't think. Lord. USPS, FedEx, and UPS. They're all honestly pissing me off because I've had to walk my packages to the postal carriers because my car is down right now. So the fact that I've been having to walk my two legs over a mile to each one of these places just to find out that my packages have been destroyed in transit, it has been very infuriating to say the least. But I'm doing my best to just roll with the punches and keep going. I don't know what's going on, but it seems like ever since the government shut down and reopening, I don't know what the hell's going on, but packages have been destroyed way more frequently in transit than usual. I don't know if it's just because of the holiday season and workers are being burnt out, but I mean, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I would rather my package take a long time to get there than not get there at all. Like, it's fine if it takes a while as long as it gets there in one piece. But if you're going to rush it and it looks like you've been playing soccer with it, don't play with my time and money. That's on the customer side or the business side, because let's be real, as a business owner, I've been a consumer longer than a business owner. So even from the consumer side, that shit would piss me off. So I say all of that to say, I do apologize if the packages are taking a bit longer or if we've had to be in contact because one of the carriers destroyed your packet in transit. And again, I can't apologize enough. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm doing my best and trying to make it work with, again, the fact that I'm having to either walk or take Lyfts and Ubers everywhere, and that gets quite expensive as well. So, as professionally as I can say, I am sorry for what is happening right now, and I'm doing my best to make sure that I accommodate each and every one of you guys because you guys spend your hard earned money with me, and not only do I appreciate it, but you deserve to have what you paid for. If the Appalachian Mountains had a Google page, I'm sure the reviews would list something like beautiful views, fresh air. But a 0 out of 10, don't follow the whistling because whatever's up there is not your business. Since y'all love trying the mountain so much, y'all just keep giving me content to make, and I'm here for it. And so are you. What's good in the YouTube hood? It's your girl, Luna Nova, and I'm back with another one for y'all today. Welcome back to the Mystic Muse, where we dive into the creepy, the conspiracy, and the downright strange. And y'all know them Appalachian Mountains are very strange. If you grew up with a real country backwoods nana, then you probably know that the Appalachian Mountains has a lot of creepy and deep lore. And obviously, tonight's compilation is all about the Appalachian Mountains and some of the experiences that people have had when they go there. Now, we all know that the Appalachian Mountain Range is one of the oldest ranges in North America, and it's easily one of the strangest places. People have been reporting bizarre encounters up there for centuries. I'm talking whispers in the woods with no wind, something mimicking voices of people that aren't even around, real strange cryptids and creatures that you only see from the corners of your eye, and then other things that you see dead on that aren't human, and travelers and hikers that say that the forest watches them back. So go ahead and grab your tea, grab a candle, and let's go ahead and venture into the mountains where the rules of reality get a little flexible. So if you're feeling brave enough, let's go ahead and dive into this creepy ass compilation. Only if you dare.
This is the absolute scariest thing that has ever happened to us while living on the road. So the thing is, this is one of the scariest things that I have ever seen, and I don't know how it's going to translate. I barely know how to describe this thing. So this is when we were living in Florida, and we were staying around like the St. Petersburg area. We were crossing a bridge and decided we needed to get water. It was super late at night, but lucky for us, there was a spigot right off the bridge. So we decided to pull off at that little park and fill up there. We were pulling in and it was super dark, and the lights that they had in the parking lot were those like black lights. They shine like a purpley blue and you really can't see that well. Honestly, I don't know why they use them. It wasn't a huge deal. We knew where the spigot was, so we decided to pull in, park. I sat in the passenger seat while Brandon strung the hose from the spigot all the way to the van. No big deal, right? This whole thing probably lasted about 15 minutes of filling up. It was taking a while, but not a big deal. I wasn't really paying attention. I was on my phone, and Brandon wrapped up the hose, put it away, and came to get in the driver's seat. This is where Ish went down, y'all. Brandon climbs back into the van, and as soon as he gets in, he goes, "Sarah, what is that?" And then he had sheer panic in his voice, y'all. He said, "Sarah, what is that?" And like, I have never heard him scared before, keep in mind, ever. And in that moment, I got chills all over my body, and I knew something was wrong. I quickly looked to my left. Outside our window, about 5 feet, is someone standing there. You can barely see them. You can almost see their outline. And all we can see, and I'm going to do my best to describe this, is someone with big shoulders, a big torso. Their arms were skinny and lanky, way down, like towards their knees. Very long, big hands, big joints. Y'all, scraggly black hair. And the scariest part about this is not only are they just standing there staring at us with either the biggest mouth in the world or blood smudged across their face. We honestly couldn't tell. It was just black all over their face. This is part 2 of the scariest thing that has happened to us while living on the road. So the minute I pretty much make eye contact with this creature who looks like they have blood on their face, you know what they do? They go. Just like that. The most eerie crap I have ever seen in my life. There were no facial features. Zero. None. We couldn't see a face. All we could see was the black smudge on their face. So Brandon finally shuts the door. Like, he was so frozen, he didn't even really shut his driver's door. And the minute he closed it, I said, "Lock the van, Brandon. Lock the van." He couldn't. Like, he physically couldn't. He didn't know what to do. And we both were just frozen. He was like, "I'm just trying to get out of here." So we sped out of there, and we didn't talk for 10 minutes. We don't know how to explain this to people. It was the most eerie thing, and the fact that they were staring at us for whoever knows how long through our window and just waited for me to look at them to wave. I will never go back there in the dark. I attempted to draw it as best as I could, and this is what I came up with.
Y'all ever called the cops on a ghost? 'Cause I have now. I don't really know what else you would call it. Okay, so I will tell you this story. I was in a wedding this past weekend, and this wedding was in Tennessee, okay? And it was along the Appalachian Trail. I used to live in North Georgia, and I know a thing or two about the Appalachian Trail. The main thing that I know about it is you don't mess with it, okay? If it talks to you, no, it didn't. Turn right around. If you hear a whistle, no, you didn't. Turn right around. I don't mess with that, and I moved away happily from the drama that is another realm that is circling on up in there. Anyway, I'm at this wedding, and we check into our Airbnb. We get there the night of the rehearsal dinner, and of course we travel with our whole zoo. So I've got 3 dogs. I've got 3 dogs with us. And we check into the Airbnb, and immediately I go into the main bedroom to put our stuff down, and I'm like, I don't like it. And I told Sebastian, I'm like, I don't want to stay in this room. Can we stay in the other room? And he's like, the kids' room? Yes. Something in this room is wrong. We stay in the other room, and then we jet on over to the rehearsal dinner. By the time we get back that night, we're exhausted. We know we have to be up. I got early in the morning with the bridesmaids. So we crash. Now, it's important to note that because we stayed in the kids' bedroom, when you walk out of that kids' bedroom, there's like 2 living rooms and then the kitchen, but you can see all the way through to the kitchen. Dogs are in crates in that second living room. So I come out of the bedroom to go to the bathroom, and I look into the kitchen, and there I see it. There is a grown man standing in my Airbnb at the counter. This guy's big, okay? Now ask yourself, what do you do in that moment? Freeze, and I'm checking all the things. Am I asleep? Am I dreaming? Let me fixate my eyes. What am I seeing right now? No, I see clear as day a grown man standing at the counter, and I'm like, someone broke into the Airbnb. I watch a lot of true crime. Okay, I was prepared for this. I locked the doors. I wedged the chairs. This is an important note. I wedged the kitchen chairs up under the doors leading to the outside. Staring at this man with his back to me. And my dog, Crouton, locks in and sees what I see. And he starts his little, okay, well, time is limited. He's about to turn around. So my choice is either to lunge into the room in front of me and undo the crate and get my German Shepherd to eat this man. Or there's a banister right here by the fireplace and the bedroom. So I duck right back here. So as I duck behind this banister, there's like a vase. So the wall and the vase, and I'm behind it, but I can kind of see into the kitchen while this vase is like covered. I got one eyeball on him, okay? My dog is still like, I close the door ever so quietly and I flip the lights on and I'm like, Sebastian, get up. And he's like, what's going on? I'm like, there is somebody in our kitchen. There's somebody in our kitchen. Holding the door, and I grab my phone and I'm like, I'm just gonna call 911. Like, this is not my house. This is an Airbnb that somebody has broken into. And my dogs are out there. So I call the cops and I'm like, I'm at the Airbnb, like track my location. Somebody broke into our Airbnb. I don't know who this person is, and I don't know if they're dangerous or they're like mentally stable. I don't know. Y'all gotta come in here and handle this. So as I'm on the phone with the cops, I'm like, this is such a wild way to die. Like, I would hate to be murdered at an Airbnb. I'm here for bridesmaids duty, not policeman duty. The only thing that I will be policing is the bride's tequila shots. Okay, that's what I'm here for. So longer story short, 3 minutes feels like half an hour. The cops get there. The door that we have to let them in is like right outside this bedroom door. So Sebastian's like, okay, like, let me go and like, we'll get him in here fast. Opens the door, pulls the chair out from under the door, unlocks it, lets the cops in. Now I've got 4 cops surveilling this Airbnb. We can't find him. This man was large, okay? And we can't find him. So that's when I noticed that in the kitchen, the only other door leading to the outside also still has the chair wedged under it. Meaning that nobody could have broken inside and then broken back out and leaned the chair up under, you know what I'm saying? Like, you couldn't do that from the outside. So he is nowhere to be found. And I'm sure that I look crazy to these police officers who at this point find out that we don't live there, it's an Airbnb, and they skedaddled. They ran out of there like an old Cartoon Network scene. I'm just in this house convinced. I'm like, Sebastian, there's no way someone left. There's no way somebody left. They are still in here. There's nothing. There's no attic. There's no floorboards. I pulled out every book of a bookshelf. Nothing turned around. I don't know where this person came from. I opened every cabinet. I looked in the oven. This person disappeared. To call that other than like a mimic or something like that. Like, I walked out and maybe it didn't see me, or it did. I don't know what the situation was. What I can tell you is I did not go back to bed. That bridesmaid's morning started 4 a.m. for me. I was not going back to sleep at all. And then here's the thing. After the wedding the next night, I'm like, well, I have a choice to make. Do I either stay in this Airbnb the second night, or do I just drive home? More things that happen, like the lights would randomly just turn off and on. The TV would turn itself off and on. Like the oven and dishwasher door like flew open. So there were other things that were weird too. But those were the main ones. So yeah, just wondering, guys, have you too ever accidentally called the cops on a ghost? My mom used to say if it was a snake, it'd bit you. Yeah, well, if it was a murderer, I'd be dead because I did not move fast enough. I did not.
Shout out to all of those TikTok videos that talk about if you're walking in the woods in Appalachia and you hear something or you see something, no, you didn't, because I think that just saved my life last night. Story time. Excuse the garage. I'm at my parents' place, and this is the only place my dog is allowed, who plays a crucial role in this story, by the way. He's a very, very good boy, and last night proved it. So, my parents don't live in Appalachia, but they do live in an area that's a little more secluded. It's still a suburb, but it's pressed up against these hills with lots of untouched wilderness, and coyotes are running through there all the time. It's just a little bit more rural. So I'm sitting in their backyard, which has this tall fence all the way around it, and the wilderness comes right up to that fence. I'm sitting there around the campfire. My dog is laying beside me. I got my laptop open and I'm writing my little stories. Suddenly, my dog lifts his head, stares straight ahead at the fire, doesn't even like look around at the yard, stares straight ahead at the fire and starts to growl. All dog owners know that your dog has different types of barks and growls. This was his warning growl. This is the growl he does when there is danger coming and he's telling it to back away. So immediately I'm like, buddy, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And then I hear a voice at the fence line. And it's not just any voice. It's the voice of a little girl. And it sounds like a creepy doll from a horror movie. It's got that kind of like mechanical quality to it. And it's kind of like muffled and garbled. I'm still getting the heebie-jeebies. And all it does is go, hello? Just like that. Just like that. Hi, just same tone and everything. Now, mind you, it's midnight. There are not going to be any little girls wandering the woods at midnight. So immediately I was like, well, this is either someone who's gonna me, or it's something else. And what made me think it was something else was the fact that the voice said again, hello? Only this time it had moved and it had gotten closer and I'd heard no footsteps. It was just floating closer. And then, mind you, my dog is still growling this entire time. For the next 5 minutes, that voice is just circling the fence line, going, hello, hi, hello, hey. Like, just like that creepy doll voice floating around the fence line. And then suddenly my dog stopped growling, and he put his head down and he went back to sleep, and the voice stopped. I thought, okay, cool, that was weird. And then all of a sudden he lifted his head back up again and started growling. And then the sound of a ticking clock came from the bush directly across from me. Again, heard no footsteps, heard no rustling. Just a ticking clock started in the middle of the night, in the middle of the woods. So don't know what that was. But if anyone wants to hop in the comments and let me know, that'd be great. Because I can't wait to go home today. And I don't see myself coming back here anytime soon. And a big shout out to my protector. Yes, big scary boy.
This is exactly why you do not go into the woods in Appalachia by yourself. So this girl's name is Kay. She lives in Florida now. She's 22 years old, but when she was 16 years old, she took a trip with her friends to the Appalachian Mountains. Now we're gonna call her friends Megan and Alexa. Now Megan's grandmother lived in the Appalachian Mountains. They didn't really know what to expect going there, but they figured her grandmother lived there. They assumed the best. So they get to her grandmother's house, they unpack their stuff, and they go to their designated rooms. Now Megan's grandmother owned 4 horses. Their names were Izzy, Holland, Nay, and Atlantis. So after they relaxed for a little while, they decide that they want to go horseback riding. They were out there for about an hour and a half until they got hungry and went home for dinner. So the sun at this point is just setting and it's very quiet. So they eat dinner. Everything is fine that night. The next day around 9 a.m., Megan's grandmother goes and visits a sick friend, and she's not going to be back until the next morning. So after they eat breakfast and hang out for a little bit, they decide again that they're going to go horseback riding. It's about 1 p.m. at this point, and they go out to the stable to get the horses ready when they have a huge problem. Nay is missing. So they go out and they're calling his name. They're trying to lure him in with his favorite carrot treats, and to no avail. So they decide that they're going to have to go looking for him by themselves. But when I say by themselves, they're going to split up. So essentially they're going into the woods by themselves. So Kay goes in her direction and Megan and Alexa go in their directions. Well, Kay is good for about an hour. She's looking for Nay. She can't find him when she runs into something terrifying. Torn and tattered with scratch marks all over it, she finds Nay's collar. Now she immediately assumes the worst and she goes to call Megan and Alexa, and as soon as she tries to call them, the call doesn't go through. Well, right at that very second when the call doesn't go through, her phone rings. She looks down at it and it's no caller ID. And for a second she's like, okay, this has got to be spam. I'm not picking up. But something inside of her tells her to pick up that phone. Soon as she picks up the phone, dead silence. You could hear a pin drop. So she goes to hang up the phone when suddenly she hears something that makes her want to vomit. This deep, raspy voice echoed through the speaker. It sounded inhuman and the speech was slurred. I can see you. Don't run, don't hide. She is frozen in shock at this point. And then the next thing she knows, lights out. She's waking up and Megan and Alexa are shaking her awake. She had fainted. Now it's around 7 p.m. at this point and they want to get back to the house. So they start walking back to the house, but they can't see anything on the path that they're on. So as they're trying to find their way back to the house, they hear that same voice again, except for this time it says, I can see all of you. They bolt into the woods, scared out of their minds, and they finally reach the house. And as soon as they get to the house, who do they see? Nay, eating grass with his buddies. Totally fine. Now, they're obviously stunned and relieved, but they're horrified because Nay's collar is on him, completely intact. Nothing is wrong with it. So immediately they call Megan's grandmother. Megan's grandmother picks up and she says, listen, I'll be back in the morning. So she comes back in the morning and she's like, what you guys did was super dangerous. She thought it was what you guys think it probably is. That was trying to lure them into the woods. I just can't say it. So that was her question. She wants to know what you guys think it was. Do you guys think that it was that, or do you think that it was something else?
We have an Appalachian Mountains story on our hands. So I was listening to one of my favorite spooky story podcasts, and I came across this one, and it was pretty spooky. This guy says that he went to college at Appalachian State, and for fun, he didn't really like to go to bars or to go drinking, but he loved to go to abandoned places and just kind of roam around and explore. So he says that there was some sort of cave that was underneath a bridge, and he had been there before, the year prior. Nothing spooky really happened. So he had told his friends, you know what, this place is kind of cool, we should go. His friends are like, okay, yeah, let's go. They are going under there. He says that it's so tight to get in. They have to like shimmy their way in there. First of all, I have claustrophobia. It ain't happening. So anyways, they get there, and he says that off the bat, he noticed that it was very different this time. There was so many different markings, pentagram markings, and it looked like someone had some sort of seance in there. Again, that wasn't there the year prior. Nonetheless, they continue on their little tour, and they're going deeper and deeper, and right above, they go into this crawl space to get to the next area. Right above that crawl space, it says he's in there, and it's pointing in the direction that they're going. Of course, people always do and say spooky things, so he didn't think much of it. Him and his friends are like, are you still down? And they were down. They are going into that crawl space to go into the next space, and all he has is a flash to his iPhone. There's a few of them, about 3 of them. So they are crawling in there, and as we know, the flash to our phones cannot reach that far. So he saw some sort of shadow, and he didn't know what it was. So he was like, okay, what was that? He asks his friend for his flashlight because he had an actual flashlight. He shines it, and he sees this really weird creature. He says he's never seen anything like this before. He's also never seen a giraffe, but you know what a giraffe would look like. And he had never seen anything similar to this. And as soon as they shine the light to him, or to it, it literally started bouncing towards them, like off the walls, in no specific direction, just going. Obviously, they book it. They are out. They're like, you know what, forget this. And they're out of there. They end up talking to each other, and they're like, okay, we all saw the same thing. What do you think that was? No one had any type of explanation. That next morning, the person that's telling the story says that he is taking a shower. He's brushing his teeth in the shower, and out of nowhere, he spits out like this clot of blood. That had never happened before. Later that day, he meets with one of the friends that went with him into that cave, and the first thing that he says was, hey, you know what's weird? I spit out like a clot of blood today. And they were like, okay, we have to talk to the third person that was with us, and literally the same exact thing happened to him. He doesn't like to talk about the story. 1, because he's scared. 2, he has a feeling that not a lot of people will believe him. But it is so crazy, the lore and the secrecy of what happens in the Appalachian Mountains, because we literally have no idea what is truly going on in there and what any of this is. They ended up doing some sort of research, and he ended up coming up with some sort of demon, that it was a demon that was called to protect that area. Nonetheless, he doesn't like to talk about it, but isn't it scary? Like, I don't know, the Appalachian Mountains just freak me out. Listen to the story on the podcast called Radio Rental. So spooky. If you guys have not heard about that podcast, I highly suggest it. And if you guys have any spooky stories, make sure that you send them.
Appalachia is full of many, many secrets, and I grew up surrounded by many of them, and some still visit me to this day. Let's talk about it. Did I get your attention? Hopefully I did. So I shared one of my stories yesterday of my earliest memories with paranormal stuff. I don't know what I would call it. I don't know if it would be spirits. I don't know if it's ghosts. Call it whatever you want. I have no idea. All of my stories are 100% true. I have been seeing things since I've been about 3 to 4 years old. I grew up in West Virginia in the Boogie Woods. And I'm just doing a however many part series of basically all of the things I've seen or heard throughout my entire life. And like I said, all of these things are true. They've happened to me, and I literally have no reason to make this stuff up and lie on my TikTok. It'd be embarrassing if I was lying. Let's talk about the ghosts that I seen in my grandma's house. I don't remember how old I was. I would guess age 7 to 10 years old. So my grandma and grandpa would go to church every single Sunday. And once I got a little bit older, I was like into computers and iPads and stuff. And obviously I didn't like, going to church that much. So I wanted to stay home and play on my electronics because in the Boogie Woods, there's no service or Wi-Fi back then. So literally I, Wi-Fi to church back then. There was Wi-Fi at the house. But obviously I didn't want to go to church. It was boring. I would go sometimes though. So anyways, I remember asking my grandpa if I could stay home and I'll keep the door locked. I will do whatever, I just want to play my games. They agreed. They was like, yeah, that's fine. So where my grandma lives, she is literally on her own like piece of private land. And then my dad's house was directly beside her. I'm pretty sure my dad was gone. I don't know if he was working, took a trip, at a concert, whatever, but I don't remember my dad being home at that time. And right on the other piece of land beside us was literally our family. And then up on the back hill, we had more family. So it was kind of like our own little, like, rural, like, family area, whatever you want to call it. So they left. I don't exactly remember how this all played out, but I remember sitting at the computer desk and playing. And I got up and I went to the kitchen to get something to eat, something to snack on, get a drink, And I just felt this weird, like, energy or this presence. Like, I just felt like I was maybe being watched or something. But I was a kid, so I didn't really know how that feeling, or what that feeling meant. Does that make sense? So I went back and I sat at the computer and I felt something in there, like, watching me. And I remember looking, like, out of the corner of my eye, and the couch was, like, facing. So here's me at my computer, right at the computer table, and then the couch is, like, across the living room, but, like, facing that way. And I remember just, like, seeing someone out of the corner of my eye, and I remember turning my head and looking over, and it was this elderly lady sitting on the couch. She was like gold, and she was glowing. I know that sounds so crazy, and I didn't feel like this was a negative energy or bad spirit. This was like one of my only encounters with something that didn't feel bad. I've had encounters with things that feel safe or feel good, or some that don't feel so good, or some that are really scary. But I've had more probably scary experiences than good. So I looked over, and I had to, like, I looked at the corner of my eye, seen something, doing whatever on my computer with my snacks, whatever. And then, like, I had to, like, take myself back and, like, look back. And I don't know how to explain it. It was this elderly lady. She had very short hair. She had on, like, Sunday service, like, church clothes. She was in, like, I think a floral dress, like a long dress. It was just giving, like, church vibes. And then she had on, like, one of those headpieces that some women wear to church. It was like a little hat, like a hairpiece with, like, a flower on it. And it was like a little hat with, like, a flower on the front. And then, like, you know how the veils are, like those little veils? Obviously not like a wedding veil, but it was like just a little church one. I don't know how to explain it. So whenever I looked at her, I just remember her being, like, golden and warm and had, like, light. She was kind of, like, clear, but, like, an outline of golden. I could kind of see some detail on her face, but not much because the veil covered, like, half of her face. But it was a sheer veil, but I still couldn't see her face that well. And I just caught a glimpse of it for a second, and then she was gone. And I just remember seeing that, and I was spooked because I was a child, but I don't remember feeling like any negative energy from that. But that was another one of my stories, and part of me likes to think that was potentially my granny visiting me. I could be wrong, but my grandma's mother was alive whenever I was very young, and I have a few memories of her. Not many, because she passed away when I was young. I can't remember if she had passed in my grandmother's house or if they had took her to the hospital and she passed on there. I would have to ask my grandma if she passed away in the house or not. Like I said, I don't remember. But the woman just kind of resembled my granny, I feel like. And I don't know if that was maybe like her visiting me as a child. The only side that I remember of her was, I'm not going to say the bad side, you know, but she had Alzheimer's, I think. Dementia. I'm not sure what it was, but she had something right before she had passed, and she struggled. She was kind of hateful and moody, but whenever I seen that like ghost or whatever you want to call it, it just seemed like a very like nice elderly woman just sitting there on the couch just watching me, and then she was gone. And that's the only memory I have. I don't remember if she just poof vanished into thin air. I don't know if I turned my head and then turned back and then she was gone. Don't remember because I was so young, but that is another little story that I have. And if you guys are interested in any more stories, let me know, and I can share my other experiences that I had growing up in West Virginia.
Videos about Appalachia and just telling like the lore of Appalachia pop up in my For You page all the time. And I lived in the Appalachian Mountains for about an 8-month period with my couple months with my grandparents, and a couple months with my aunt and uncle. They both lived on kind of like the same part of the mountain. And I had 2 experiences before I knew anything about Appalachian lore as a 17, 18-year-old that I want to share. So first experience was that I lived in my Nana's basement, my Nana and Papa's basement, and my Nana was a collector of dolls, and she was also starting to show signs of dementia. So when things started to move around or go missing or get relocated, I wasn't immediately concerned because this was my Nana's house and I knew that she was exhibiting signs of mental regression. What started to really get concerning for me was when I would use the bathroom, or specifically when I was showering, the door did kind of swing open. It didn't stay shut. So you had to there was a brick that you put in front of the door, but once the brick was there, the door didn't move. But every time I would take a shower, the door would open regardless of whether the brick was there or not. So that started to freak me out. I started to keep my boyfriend at the time on the phone with me, kind of just like, please stay on the phone with me. Something's not right here. One night in early October, I turn off my bedside table. It's pitch black, and I roll over onto my side, and I hear footsteps up at the top of the stairs to the basement. I wasn't immediately concerned. I thought it was my Nana. So I went to go sit up and turn the bedside light on, but I couldn't move. I was completely paralyzed, but I was not asleep. I had just laid down. And I hear the footsteps coming down the stairs, and it rounds the corner of my bed, and I shut my eyes shut because something inside me instinctually said, if you keep your eyes open, you will not be able to unsee what is there. This, whatever it was, stood there deep breathing around me for about 5 to 7 minutes. After about 5 to 7 minutes, it left, walked back up the stairs, and once I heard it reach the top of the stairs, I could move again. I sat straight up, I turned on the light, and I went and I ran upstairs because I was somehow convinced it might still be my Nana or something weird. I don't know. Both my Nana and Papa were asleep. I could hear them snoring. So a couple weeks after that, I ended up moving out of that basement into my aunt and uncle's basement. Not because of the ghost situation, but because my Nana's dementia. So I lived with my aunt and uncle who had 2 small children, and I'm about to run out of time, so I'll put up a part 2. So my aunt and uncle had 2 small children who lived upstairs, and that's important to this story because it was Halloween night. I went to sleep. In this basement, I had never felt afraid, and I'd never had any adverse feelings or felt like I was being watched in this basement. Halloween night, I turn off my light, I get into bed, and this time I'm sleeping on the opposite side of like a king bed, and there's like all of this space over here. And I can't move. Immediate again. It wasn't like I had waited or I had fallen asleep. It was once again very immediate. And I was laying down and I heard this walking coming down the stairs, and I was like, maybe it's one of my cousins. Maybe it's one of my cousins, but I couldn't move. There was nothing I could do. Once again, I'm squeezing my eyes shut, and what I thought was maybe hopefully one of my cousins came over to the bed and they jumped into the bed with me and like wiggled. I could feel them wiggling next to me. I could feel their body weight in the bed. They snuggled there. It wasn't as long this time. It was more like maybe like 2 to 3 minutes. And then I felt them jump up. I immediately had the ability to move again. So I sat straight up and then swung my arm at it, thinking that if it was one of my cousins, I would have grabbed them. There was nothing there. So I went up and I told my family the next day, and I was like, you guys, like this weird thing happened. It was just like what happened at Nana and Papa's, and they were laughing it off and like, no, it's fine. Years and years later, I'm now an adult with my own child. And my family's like, that house was haunted as fuck. And they were telling me all of the voices that they would hear and all of the things they would see walking in front of their windows. And my aunt was telling me about all the time she would clean my Nana and Papa's basement before I lived there. And she would like, something once like smacked her. And I was like, guys. But yeah, so Appalachia's no joke. You got to be careful with that. You got to be careful out there.
And remember, if you're ever hiking in Appalachia and you hear someone calling your name from the forest line that you can't see, don't answer it. Thank you to all of my hoodlums for watching another creepy compilation of mine. And as always, a huge shout out to all of the channel members because y'all are the real MVPs. Y'all know y'all keep this community thriving. And don't forget, if you have a creepy encounter of your own, go ahead and send it in, whether it's the Reddit page or to my email, because I need some more entries from you guys because we're in need of more stories. And who knows, maybe your story might be the next one that's mentioned on the Mystic Files podcast. I don't know about you guys, but before I was going to make this video, I was actually about to cook and do laundry. So now that the power's out, I'm going to have to DoorDash or go walk and get some food. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here and edit this video so I can go ahead and push another one for you guys and find something warm and safe for me and my little Athena to do because she looks so sad over there, all cold, and I hate it. I feel like a bad cat mommy. So if you guys haven't learned anything, make sure that y'all just be careful in them Appalachian Mountains because it's not always creepy things that happen, but somehow it's always in the Appalachian Mountains. I don't know, but make sure that you stay safe and trust your intuition. If it doesn't feel right, it's not. So be sure to drink your water, mind your business, and stay prayed up and protected. And as always, Luna loves you. I'll be back with another one for you guys, if the spirits allow it and if this power comes back on, because I don't know how much battery life I have left. So I'll see y'all on the next one.